Welcome to Spooky Southcoast.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does.
AM 1420, WBSM presents Spooky Southcoast with your hosts Tim Weisberg and Matt Costa.
Good evening. Welcome to Spooky Southcoast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin Matt Costa. Forgetting that the last 10 minutes or so have not happened.
Yeah, time travel.
Exactly. Yeah. That might be one of the topics to talk about tonight.
Go back and pretend, stop ourselves from doing that last 10 minutes.
Perhaps. And from changing the camera shot, which I think made everybody sick in the chat room. Welcome to Spooky Southcoast, where we talk about the paranormal each and every Saturday night. And we are talking tonight about a variety of topics. Our scheduled guest, Mac Maloney, couldn't join us due to unforeseen circumstances. He'll come back next month in September to join us and discuss his new book, Beyond Area 51. But in the meantime, you are stuck with just myself and the silent assassin tonight. We're going to kick around a variety of paranormal topics. I had mentioned earlier that I put up on Facebook that our guest canceled and couldn't join us, and that we were looking for topics to discuss, and I asked people what they wanted to talk about. We got a whole bunch of topics listed, so the plan is to kind of roundtable them, kick them around, and see what happens. I had invited Chris Balzano to join us, and I don't see him in the chat room, but he knows the VIP line number if he has a chance to call in. He may be busy. But we also want your thoughts. 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. You can also tweet us at SpookySC or shoot us an email, spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com. And we have the video going on WBSM.com and on spookysouthcoast.com. And on the Spooky Southcoast page, there is our chat room option to join in, and you can share your thoughts that way. So let's get right into some of this discussion, Matt Costa. And there's so many topics to cover that we'll kind of go in somewhat of an order. I know that our buddy Bigg Jim Jones had mentioned cemeteries, and he plans on calling in at some point during the course of the show and discussing that. But why don't we jump into the next topic here that's on the list, and that would be time travel. And we joked about that. But is time travel possible, in your opinion, Matt Costa?
I would say yes, but I think there's certain limitations to it. I'm gonna put it out there.
Limitations in terms of physics, or in terms of
I'm not
morality?
Sure. Probably the physics end of things.
I mean, I guess I'm starting to realize less and less that time isn't real.
Yeah.
You know, it's a human construct. Because here's the thing. If we know that time is based on our revolutions of the Earth around the sun, but that just keeps happening and happening.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have a finite beginning point, and we don't have a finite end point. So is it really keeping track of anything?
I don't know. It makes my head hurt.
Mine too. But it's almost like what's a good thing to compare it to? You know those little clicker balls that you put on your desk? You know, that you pull one back and it goes back and forth. And they always say, you know, the momentum of them keeps them going and they'll go forever. Well, then do you really need to count how many of them happen? Yeah. If you just know that there's a start.
They don't actually go forever. There is an end point. So. But they do go a long time.
There will be an end point for the Earth, too, when the momentum stops carrying it, but or the gravity of the sun in this case. But the looking at it from that perspective, you know, the Earth turning is just something that's going to happen. And how can we dance when the Earth is turning? But the fact that it just keeps going around and around, it's almost like it's superfluous to try to keep track of it and to mark those designations as time. So time is a human construct that we use for ourselves. I mean, there's a beginning point and an end point to our bodies, to our physical corporeal shells, and we have regular cycles, but our cycles are based on time. Our circadian rhythms are based on the way that we live our day. If we change the way that we live our day, eventually our circadian rhythm will change too. If you start working a night shift, you can change yourself to be awake at night and to be sleepy during the day. So it's not like you're completely dependent on the idea of time for your body's replenishing of itself. So time really doesn't factor into who we are and how we live, if you look at it from that perspective. So if there is no time, that works twofold, because in one respect, that means that there can't be time travel because there is no time. So if everything just keeps moving forward in perpetuity, how can you go back? And how can you go forward if it hasn't happened yet? Because it's just happening. There's no way to hit a certain designation point if time is something that's a construct in our mind. You see what I'm saying in that regard?
Yeah.
The other option would be that if time doesn't exist, then that means it would be easy to travel in time. Because now we don't have those limitations that we place on time to say the past is in the past, the future is in the future, and you can't revisit them.
Yeah.
Because you're erasing from your mind the probability that you're going to hit the next hour. You're going to hit the next day. You're getting rid of that constriction on the concept of time, if you follow what I mean in that regard.
Okay.
Like by removing the concept of time, you're removing the basic tenet of, well, then you can't travel in time because there's no time. So you should be able to move freely back and forth.
It's pretty deep right now.
So it could go either way. This is the exact same conversation I had with my friend Vic when we left the movie theater seeing Time Cop. So that just goes to show you where our minds are on this. But I think that if time travel is possible, it's not going to be something that's possible by building a physical time machine that you're going to use as the portation place to go from one time to another, to go from one point to another. You're not going to build a machine that's going to do that. If it's going to be done, it's going to be done through our own consciousness. And I would love to have the ability to project my consciousness to any point in time. Some people say that they can do it. I don't know how I feel about that, but I would love to have that ability. Imagine if you could just say, I'm just going to sit here and meditate, and in that meditative state, I'm going to go back and see the signing of the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to sit here in this meditative state, and I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to see what my children's children will look like. If you could do that.
Is that just your imagination? Or
well, I'm saying if there was a way to do it with your consciousness, not your imagination. I mean, you could certainly sit there and do it and imagine and daydream, but I mean to actually be able to do it, to achieve that. That would be the vessel for time travel, I think, if it was to happen. And also that would get rid of a lot of the mores of time travel, because you wouldn't have the ability to interact. You wouldn't have the ability to change things. So therefore you can only experience them. So I think line 3 is our buddy Bigg Jim. So what I'll do is I'll take line 1 just in case that's a question or a comment on time travel. And if you want to call in, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Good evening. You're on Spooky Southcoast. How you doing? Did I hit the button? Yeah, you're on. Hello? Oh, there we go. Wrong. Who shut the...
All right.
Who was the last guy in the studio, Matt Costa?
I don't know.
Turned off the phone pot. All right, sorry. Good evening. How you doing?
Great. How are you, Tim?
Doing spooktacular. So you have any thoughts on time travel?
Well, I was listening to your comments, and you say there are people who claim that they can project their consciousness into the future or the past.
Yes, I mean we've definitely heard from people over the years, guests, and I've read in books and things of people who claim to have the ability to project their consciousness, to remote view different events at different times. Yeah,
whose viewpoint is that from? It's my problem with that is if you're thinking of time, there's no logbook really. I relate it to my computer. If I want to go back to a point before I had a program or a virus, I would check that logbook and say, okay, restart from that point. But there's no external hard drive for the universe, so I don't understand how that's kept track of or how we could even access that.
Well, it would be through your own viewpoint, because it would be your consciousness that's going back. But you're right. I mean, what is the storage mechanism for that to be held? What is the data source for that? And I mean, I don't know. I guess we'd have to look at it as the Earth is kind of its own recording device. Think about the way that everyday life feels. You know, think about deja vu. Think about these things that could be part of that mechanism to allow you to see what goes on in the back.
Deja vu, that's an interesting topic. If we could delve into that for a second.
Absolutely.
What exactly is deja vu? I've heard it explained several different ways, several different times. What is your explanation?
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
A glitch in the Matrix.
That's how they explained it anyway. There is no deja vu. It's a glitch in the Matrix. I actually think that and I've had strong feelings of deja vu, but I actually just think it's just a product of our own mind. That's my own opinion. I think that something just feels off for a minute, so we feel like it's happened before. I just think it's kind of like our brain doubling up a bit. I don't think that it's something that actually has taken place before. I think we just feel that way for a moment.
Well, here's what's happened to me before. People might think I'm crazy, and I'm sure by now you know what this is.
Sure, but not on this show. Nobody's crazy.
What's happened to me before is that I have every now and then a dream that I'll think nothing of.
Your station for the Southcoast.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
Sorry, network problems.
First thing that I remember, first experience, is that I had a dream in the 7th grade that my teacher dropped a black folder from the top of a filing cabinet or something, and she asked me to pick it up. Why that was embedded in a dream, I don't know. But a few weeks later, that happened. And I said, I remember this. I dreamed this. Why is that? I have no idea why that happened, and it's happened several times since then, but I imagine that might happen to a few people at a few points in time.
Right. Precognitive dreaming has happened to me. It's happened to quite a few people. I've read entire books on the topic because I wanted to try to find out why I was having these type of dreams, and I have no explanation for it. Matt, I don't know how you feel about it, but have you ever had a precognitive dream? I don't think I've ever asked you.
I don't think I have. No. But what does that mean that everything is already written?
I guess to some degree.
I suppose.
What do you think, Taylor? Do you think it's already written?
I don't know. I don't think so, because from my standpoint, we all have a free will, and whether or not I guess that's where the debate comes in, whether or not your free will or what you decide to do is already taken down. It's a little too deep for me.
Having a path, though, and having a destiny or a fate wouldn't necessarily remove the product of free will. It just, you would still have the ability to alter the course. It may just be the future of the course that you're on, and that you could freely change that by whatever circumstances. I mean, if you go to see a psychic's going to tell you, here's what I see happening, but by you knowing that this is what's going to happen, you could have a direct effect. It's kind of a little bit of a disclaimer, so you can't go back and ask for your money back.
Like those choose your own adventure books.
Right.
That you always peek to the, or I did anyway,
right,
to see if I was going to die or not.
And if you die, you just don't.
I'd be like,
that option.
I'm not going to read that part. I'll turn to page 56 instead of 70, whatever.
What's hilarious is we knew that no matter what path you took, eventually...
It's easy to find excuses to come back again and again.
I
don't know what's going on.
It is easy to find excuses.
You know that you would eventually die or be the hero, one of the two.
Yeah.
So, and you would think we would want to go back and experience the adventure again, but we're like, no, we're lazy. We only want to read once.
Right.
So Taylor, do you think that that free will option could exist even if it was preordained and predestined what was going to happen to us? Do you feel like by knowing something you can change it from happening?
I'm not sure. I mean, that would change the whole definition of free will. It would mean that no matter what I do, it's already going to happen regardless of my decision. I
don't think so. I mean, if the future that you were told by a psychic that you were going to get hit by a bus tomorrow if you went down the street and you chose to stay home and not go out. Well, you've now used your free will to change that destiny.
Maybe that bus careened through my house.
Possibly. Maybe the next time you go out, something else happens too.
All right, so maybe we can just postpone the inevitable instead of it happening suddenly.
I think that's probably more the case. And then if we look at it from that way, then eventually everything's inevitable.
I give up. Tim, I got to commend you. I don't know how you get up at 5 in the morning and stay up till 1 at night or even later, but you do a great job nevertheless.
Lots and lots of caffeine.
All right, my friend.
Have a great
Take
night.
care.
Bye-bye. All right, and that is really like at the crux of it. No matter what you argue about free will, it's always going to come back to things are going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So you end up just talking to yourself in circles, like I always do every time I'm on the radio. I just end up talking to myself in circles. So any other final thoughts on time travel before we move on?
I don't know. Aside from this influx of pictures and videos on YouTube of
Time travel?
of supposed time travelers.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. I saw a couple of new ones recently.
Well, I don't know if you've been friend requested yet, but a person claiming to be John Teeter has surfaced on Facebook. We've never covered the John Teeter story here on Spooky Southcoast, so it's something we should cover going forward in the future. But if you're unfamiliar, he came back in it was 2000. The posts started showing up on the internet from somebody claiming to be a time traveler, and he had a lot of predictions that didn't come true and a few that did. So people seem to think there's some legitimacy to the John Teeter case, but this new John Teeter seems to exist solely to sell merchandise from his time travel division. So, yeah. So maybe we'll try to get him on and see. Although if he's from the future, then he already knows that he was on. Contact us.
Mind blown.
All right, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Why don't we take a break? When we come back on the other side, we will jump on the phones because I think that's Bigg Jim Jones waiting to talk to us about cemeteries. So we'll do that in just a minute. Stay tuned for more of Spooky South Coast here on WBSM.
News and conversation. AM 1420 WBSM and WBSM.com.
This is an important message for all hardworking Americans. Not long ago, Michael Parnas was living on a park bench in New York City. Fast forward to 2008, he took a few $1,000s, and in less than 8 months, 8 of the worst trading months in stock market history, Michael made close to $4 million. He cracked the stock market's code and discovered the insider trends that your broker doesn't want you to know. So he is giving you his Power Trading, Power Living book and DVD to help take the mystery out of the market, break down the trade and trends you need to know, and show you how he went from a park bench to Park Avenue for free. Just pay shipping. Michael has never stopped believing that regular hardworking people can make money in the stock market. A lot of money. In fact, Michael is convinced Power Trading can work for you too. That's why he's giving you his book and DVD for free. Call Michael now at 800-754-1058 and claim your free copy. Call 800-754-1058. That's 800-754-1058. Trading carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for everyone.
It's easy to find excuses to come back again and again to Buffalo Wild Wings this time of year. Host your draft party at Buffalo Wild Wings, and you could get an exclusive fantasy draft kit that includes gift certificates for $100 and free food at participating locations, and while supplies last, of course. A fantasy draft party with wings and beer. Yep, Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. This is your year. Sign up for Yahoo Fantasy Football and host your draft party at Buffalo Wild Wings. The league that eats together, wins together.
From the last day of school back to the first, kids need a lot of stuff. Stock up now at Staples and get filler paper for a penny. And don't forget,
a tablet with a totally awesome pink case.
Paper for when I need it, laptop for when I don't.
Perfectly patterned folders and binders.
Notebooks for my music, headphones to jam out. For everything kids need this year, Staples has it. Come in now and get filler paper for a penny. This week only. Staples, that was easy.
Valid on select SKUs with $5 minimum purchase while supplies last. Limit 5 and term 13.
Your station for the South Coast. AM 1420 WBSM.
Hello. Hey man, you up?
No.
Wake up, I need to talk to you. I think your house is haunted.
Hey, come on, it's 2:30 in the morning.
I can't sleep in here, man. I'm scared.
Welcome back to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin, Matt Costa. Matt, I don't know if you heard earlier today during the Tim Weisberg show, Saturdays from 6 to 9 on WBSM.
Yes.
But I was playing some of the music coming out of commercials. I was playing some of the most influential music videos of the first 10 years of MTV, which is my blog at WBSM.com. And I put one of the influential videos I felt was Walk This Way by Run DMC and Aerosmith, because it literally and figuratively broke down the walls of rap and rock. And, you know, at the beginning it was like, where there's the little record scratch, I actually, like, went up and down with out here on the board. Couldn't help it. It had to be done. So check that out. If you go to WBSM.com, you can read that blog post about the most influential videos of the first 10 years of MTV in honor of their 32nd anniversary, which was this past Thursday. Also, if you go to WBSM.com, you can read my blog post about staying away from the Conjuring House. And I want to thank everybody out there who read that and passed it around on social media. And it actually was the most read post on WBSM.com in the month of July.
Excellent.
What does that mean? That means that got out to thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people who read that and now have helped spread the word to stay away from the Conjuring House, which is the important part. So, and of course, I do have that blog on WBSM.com. I have various people blogging on SpookySouthcoast.com. If you want to check that out, there's always great new articles up there each week. Our buddy Dave Francis has been posting up a ton of content because he was writing a book and decided that he wasn't going to go forward writing the book. So now all that content that he had stored up and ready to go is now becoming blog posts on SpookySouthcoast.com. So it's like you're getting Dave's book for free, man. So check it out. Go to SpookySouthcoast.com, click on the blog page that's on there, and you'll be able to see all the articles. And like I said, each and every day it seems like we have something new. So check that out. We are talking about a variety of different paranormal topics tonight, and we'll get your thoughts and feelings and comments at 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. But on this line, we have somebody who's been waiting for a while, and I think it might be our buddy Bigg Jim. Is that you, Bigg Jim?
That is. Hey, guys, it's welcome to... It's honor to speak to you guys here from south of the border.
South of the border?
In Maryland.
It's crab cakes instead of tacos.
That's exactly right. How you doing, buddy?
Doing very well, and we're glad that you could check in with us tonight. And you were the first person to post when I was looking for some topics to talk about, and you wanted us to talk about cemeteries, which I know is one of your passions.
Definitely is. I just posted a new video on it. It's called the Cemetery Chronicles. I did the Jedediah Peck Cemetery. It's in Burlington, New York, in Oswego County. And I've been doing a lot of the cemeteries around Maryland, of course, and I've been to many cemeteries all across the United States. And I do small videos to bring awareness to a lot of the abandoned, neglected, and vandalized cemeteries. And, as a son of the South, basically, during the war between the states, we lost a lot of our marriage, birth, and death records. And, of course, if you don't have you only have the Bible to reference yourself with, trying to do your genealogy, you have to resort to family cemeteries. And but there's been a lot of different cemeteries that's all across the United States that do need our help, and I try to bring awareness wherever I can.
Now, here in Massachusetts, especially in the South Coast area where we are, there's a lot of those small family burial plots that exist, and they're on what used to be the family property, which now, could be miles of empty fields and then bam, cemetery. Or in some cases, like in Lakeville, it's, house, family cemetery, house, family cemetery. So it seems like these things could pop up anywhere. Is it similar down there?
Pretty much is. The Walmerhausen Cemetery is actually in a town that sprang up back in the 1960s called Columbia, which is between Baltimore and Washington. And that dates back into about 1806 or so, which was the earliest known I was able to see. And it sits in between two ranch houses, or ranchers. And it's kind of ironic when you see a lot of these smaller cemeteries, even with the some of the ones that actually serve some of the smaller towns throughout the region. Locally here, I'm in Catonsville, which is about 7 miles outside Baltimore City. And we have the two famous things we have here is the father of modern wargaming, and also the baptismal site for John Wilkes Booth, which is about a block from where I live. But over there's a small cemetery. We have about 14 cemeteries that are documented here. And there's a town next to me is called Ellicott City, and that there has about 120 small cemeteries. And down through the ages here, dating back to the early 1800s, doing a lot of documentation on many of these, we found out a lot of these lines go back into some of the founding fathers of the country.
Oh, wow.
So when you try to do the genealogy and you try to do the backgrounds, I mean, a lot of these small cemeteries like this actually disappear under bulldozer blades, and it's rather sad to see that happen.
It is. It's very disconcerting how easily they will just plow over a cemetery, and I suppose there needs to be a way to do it respectfully. I mean, you can't really stand in the way of progress, I guess. I would think that a final resting place should stay as such, but there seems to be no qualms about relocating native burial grounds around here. I know that when they built the mall in the town where we live, the outdoor plaza, they actually had to relocate some things that were there. But they have no problem doing that to natives, but it seems like when it's the Europeans, nobody wants to touch it. And there seems to be kind of a double standard there.
That's pretty much the truth. I mean, we've actually had that happen here in Maryland. There was one where I've actually been on local television where they were building a 14-seat or a 14-theater IMAX theater in our county seat in Towson, Maryland, which is Baltimore County's seat. And there is the founding family is their cemetery, the Towson Schmuck Cemetery. And I did a small video on that. And that's now sitting on, basically, it looks like an island in the middle of a stream because they're putting in a 4-story underground parking garage there. I was lucky enough to find a cemetery, which is only probably about 3 miles from where I live, that actually has connections to the Vice President of the United States.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would think he would want to make sure that gets protected then.
Pretty much. I mean, I think Joe Biden would be very happy if he was able to do his 6 times great-grandfather. And it was actually in this small town that where the whole Biden family is originally from this area, and then they branched out and went different places, but I was able to track that back that far.
Wow. So now the overall goal of the Cemetery Chronicles, though, is to raise awareness, and hopefully you'll find a way to kind of raise a monetary distribution too as well to help kind of maintain these and restore these properties.
Hopefully. One of the things is an outreach also is the United States Cemetery Preservation Society. Basically, we go out there and document through photographs, through transcribed the transcriptions of the stones, and also to get GPS locations, and try to get in contact with our legislators, and also work with the community to try and get in there and clean these places up, and also try to protect them, and hopefully bring awareness, and that way we can preserve our past for future generations.
And if people want to get in touch with you and they want to let you know about a cemetery that needs attention, how can they do so?
What they can do is they can actually look on Facebook. They can contact me through the Bigg Jim Jones on Facebook, or they can. Here's my email. It's prism PRISM _ Maryland MARYLAND @yahoo.com. They can send me email there, and I can try to direct them in the right direction, hopefully.
And remember, it's Bigg Jim with an extra G on the big because you need 2 G's.
Definitely. I mean, I got that moniker about 17 years ago when I started in law enforcement. So, that's what happened there. And another thing I wanted to bring up with you before we part, I want to take and raise awareness for a project here that's we're trying awareness to Fort Mifflin. If anybody hasn't read anything recently, Fort Mifflin is going through some hard times right now. That took hits from the British to allow George Washington to regroup in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And they definitely need our help there. And I helped create the Facebook page. It's called Defenders of Historic Fort Mifflin, Support the Fort. And if you were on Facebook there, you can go to that Facebook page, and it'll give you more information on where to try to help it out.
Excellent. Well, we recommend that everybody does so, and we'll do all that we can to help keep us up to date with all the efforts.
Definitely will. And here's someone I want to say hi to you.
Hi, it's Bree.
Hey, Bree.
Say hi to you guys.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Oh, doing well. Sounds like Bigg Jim's pretty busy, so I'm sure that you are as well.
Yeah, well, I'm back in school, so it's something to keep him busy while I'm working on papers and homework.
And keep him out of your hair, too, right?
Exactly.
All right, well, hopefully we can see you guys soon.
Yeah, we were talking about maybe coming up your way next summer, so we'll keep y'all posted.
That would be awesome. Maybe we can go visit you as well.
Definitely. Welcome down here anytime.
All right.
Always look for you, bud.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
That is Bigg Jim Jones and Reese Adler. You can follow them on Facebook and Twitter and follow along all their efforts, and we'll keep you up to date here on Spooky South Coast. And Matt Costa, that's something that we've always promoted too, is cemetery awareness.
Oh yeah.
Still one of our most downloaded episodes of all time is the show that we did years ago when we talked about the need to actually respect these cemeteries, because people in our field, unfortunately, they don't do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who go out there and not pay their respects, so to speak, when they go out and investigate or even go out screwing around.
It becomes
these damn kids.
Yeah, you damn kids! Get off my cemetery! But the issue is that they are so hung up on the idea of ghosts that they're not respecting the people who are enjoying their final rest there. So
they kind of ruin it for the rest of us who want to go up there.
So hopefully that we can raise more awareness, and Bigg Jim will certainly help with that. Why don't we take another break, and then when we come back, we'll kick around a few more of these topics. We've only got about 20 minutes left of the show, Matt, because the Red Sox ate up a significant portion of that. So I'm sorry that we didn't get to interview our new friend Chesterfield. You want to hold up Chesterfield for the cameras. This is one of my yard sale finds today. I figured that could be the mascot for Smoking Monkey Productions, and that will be he can kind of be your mascot / technical director. He can do all the voiceover work if you want. I don't know if you want to have him speak for everybody.
Monkey around.
You can. But when I saw that, it was the most realistic looking monkey puppet I ever saw. So, and then I just realized it's just somebody gutted a real monkey, and now you've got your hand up it. Puppet. Puppet. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more. If you want to call in, 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Whatever you want to talk about. Open lines on the paranormal tonight. We'll be back with more here on Spooky South Coast.
He covers the South Coast like AM 1420, WBSM, and WBSM.com.
It's easy to find excuses to come back again and again to Buffalo Wild Wings this time of year. Host your draft party at Buffalo Wild Wings, and you could get an exclusive fantasy draft kit that includes gift certificates for $100 and free food at participating locations and while supplies last, of course. A fantasy draft party with wings and beer. Yep, Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. This is your year. Sign up for Yahoo Fantasy Football and host your draft party at Buffalo Wild Wings. The league that eats together, wins together.
From the last day of school back to the first, kids need a lot of stuff. Stock up now at Staples and get filler paper for a penny. And don't forget,
A tablet with a totally awesome pink case.
Paper for when I need it, laptop for when I don't.
Perfectly patterned folders and binders.
notebooks for my music, headphones, jam out. For everything kids need this year, Staples has it. Come in now and get filler paper for a penny. This week only. Staples, that was easy.
Valid on select SKUs with $5 minimum purchase while supplies last. Limit 5 and take 13.
Your station for the South Coast. AM 1420 WBSM.
It blew books off shelves from 20 feet away and scared the socks off some poor librarian.
Turn on all your lights, lock the doors, and pull down the shades. Spooky South Coast is back.
This was extraordinarily bad.
All right, welcome back to Spooky South Coast. I'm Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin, Matt Costa. And we are kicking around a variety of paranormal topics tonight. All the things that people put up on my Facebook post are fair game for the discussion tonight. And Matt, I'll give you some of the topics that we could discuss. We have Charles Fort, the Freetown State Forest. Moniz talking about UFO investigations, but we can't do that because Moniz was out in the field tonight. He's traveling. Safe travels to him. Dystopian Society. Somebody suggested that we have a cookout. We probably should have done that.
We should have.
That would have been but that's all right. It would have helped put out the fire that we inevitably would have started.
Yep.
Then we also have people in hospitals and nursing homes who talk about seeing men in black walking around just before they pass away. Real men in black encounters. If you haven't heard that show, we did a show that was podcast only with Nick Redfern a while back about the real men in blacks. If you go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from, you can find that episode that we did with Nick Redfern. Fascinating stuff about the real Men in Black. Of course, Gail recommended that we have Jeff Belanger on. He's actually at an event out in Minnesota tonight. We have the Skinwalker Ranch. That would be a great topic to cover sometime. It's definitely something we could go into in great depth. And, of course, Chris Balzano wanted us to talk about G.I. Joe and its connections to the occult and mythology. So we'll skip that one for tonight because Chris isn't with us.
That's kind of a good one, though.
Yeah, well, if we're going to talk about that, we want Chris to join us.
Definitely.
Lake monsters was another suggestion. Whether or not Thunderbirds are real, werewolves, Slender Man, Black-Eyed Kids, which we covered a few weeks ago with David Weatherly. You can check that out on YouTube and on iTunes. World War I ghosts, New England megaliths, or the Bridgewater Triangle documentary. And somebody also suggesting that we talked about voodoo. So we could go with any of those topics if you wanted to. I will give everybody an update, though, about the Bridgewater Triangle documentary. It will have its world premiere October 20th at UMass Dartmouth. So if you want to check it out, you'll be able to be the first to see it. The on-sale information for the tickets will be coming soon. I've been helping out with the Southcoast Paranormal and Psychic Fair, which will be taking place September 22nd at the Seaport Inn and Marina. And I've been helping to put together some of the slate of guests for that. Some of the speakers will be there and some of the guests will be in attendance. I can tell you that the headliners for this event will be Amy Bruni from Ghost Hunters and Jeff Belanger from 30 Other Minutes and Ghost Adventures. They will be...
I heard of that guy.
Yeah, they'll be the two headliners of the Southcoast Paranormal and Psychic Fair on September 22nd. So you'll get your chance to come out and meet Amy Bruni from Ghost Hunters, meet Jeff Belanger. Amy's going to be doing a Q&A with fans. Jeff will be giving a presentation, one of his great lectures that he gives, travels around the country giving. And we're going to have a variety of other guests coming and speaking as well. One of the guests that I could say will definitely be there will be Aaron Cadieux, and I believe Manny Fenmalari is going to join him too. They'll be presenting an exclusive sneak peek at the Bridgewater Triangle documentary, and they'll have your opportunity to buy tickets for the premiere at UMass Dartmouth on that day as well. So you'll get a chance to see a portion of the film before anybody else gets to lay eyes on it if you come to the Southcoast Paranormal and Psychic Fair on September 22nd at the Seaport Inn and Marina. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the host. Hopefully Matt Costa will be there after he has to work over here on Sunday morning. But we'll be right down the street. Matt, come and join the party. It's always a good time.
Yeah, I'll be down.
And if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see at the Southcoast Paranormal and Psychic Fair, then shoot me an email, tim@spookysouthcoast.com, and I'll discuss it with Steve, and we'll see if we can make it happen. So all those things that we could talk about, Matt, so many ways to go, so many directions to go. But I would like to get your thoughts on at least one of those topics, because you weren't there for the Men in Black program. That was something that I recorded with Nick Redfern at my house, and we put up for podcast only. But what are your thoughts on these Men in Black encounters, both the ones who are supposedly government entities and the ones who could be extraterrestrial or some sort of interdimensional entity?
Well, I mean, if it is some sort of interdimensional or alien entity, you would think there would be, I don't know. Is that how they think that we dress all the time? Or
it is kind of weird how they're trying to fit in, but they don't quite fit in.
Yeah.
And some of the stories, like you read the original Mothman Prophecies book, right? Yeah. So you hear these stories about them coming in and looking not quite right and acting not quite right. And these are the same stories that we heard with David Weatherly talking about the black-eyed children. So it seems like it's just a problem that they have assimilating into our society. But then you have the other Men in Black who are supposedly
Will Smith.
Yeah, exactly. Government agents, or agents of some sort of regulatory body, who are clearly human and are there for the purposes of shutting it up.
I would think that would be more believable to me.
You think so? You also, I mean, don't you think we would find out by now that, they are running this organization, they are running this department?
Well, I don't know. I suppose they release information that they want us to know, and I don't know. I mean, we can't know everything.
We found out about Blue Book. We found out about Majestic 12. I mean, maybe we could have found out about Men in Black for now. And if you read Nick's book, I mean, he does have a lot of information about that. I like to think that they are
I mean, if the government came out and told us that there are men in black today, how many people would believe it? Or
well, I mean,
believe it?
If they were telling us that they were there for the purpose of gathering information, sure.
Yeah.
But in terms of some of these encounters that people report having with them, where they're followed, where they're harassed, where they're told to keep their mouth shut for their own good, I think that couldn't happen too often without word getting out in today's society. I mean, in the 60s and the 70s, when we had a lot of these reports coming in,
someone would tweet about it.
Exactly. Like now we're just too connected that somebody would be able to get away with it. But maybe they've pulled back. Maybe they're not strong-arming people as much as they used to. Nick Redfern knows all about that, and you can check out that episode on iTunes. But for me, the more fascinating stories are the ones of the strange men in black who, they're olive skinned, but they look somewhat Asian, and they're often reported wearing wigs and clothes that don't match and are from a different era, and they drive cars from the 1940s. They just sound very much like if you ever read Stephen King books, they sound like the low men that Stephen King writes about, the Contoy, and they sound very much like the same type of thing that I always look back to in mythology and in folklore: the fairies, the trolls, all these different creatures that have existed through different cultures over the years. They all have similar type descriptions. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's another modern version of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it's possible.
508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. What do you think? And I want to thank our friend Meg for posting this up on my Facebook page, because I have Chris trying to track this guy down as a guest. The paranormal song warrior, Matt Farley. Have you heard of this guy?
I haven't.
He basically writes songs where he reveals conspiracy theories through the lyrics of his song. So I
gotta hear them.
I listened to it the other day. I think it's all clean, so I don't think you can get into any trouble. But we will run this way right now.
Since the dawn of human existence, the mysteries of the universe have confounded our greatest minds. Now, by popular demand, those subjects are being explored by the paranormal song warrior on his newest album, Believe, exciting songs about mysterious stuff.
I like it.
It's a fact that few are able to face. Those pyramids were made by a superior race. Believe, yes.
He has probably...
It's like a commercial.
It is. And his tinfoil hat is very form-fitting. It's not ostentatious like these other tinfoil hats that we see.
That's sneaking around at night. It sure ain't no coated with a parasite. He's giving all of the locals a fright. He's Chupacabra.
He seems to be covering all the topics: remote viewing, zombies, the Beast of Bray Road.
Zombies are the living dead. Finally, there is an album for those who dare to ask the most difficult questions. Have you ever heard about the Thunderbird? It's a big bird, big bird. Have you ever heard about the Thunderbird?
That's actually good.
Spontaneous combustion. What a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
People just sitting there doing nothing. Next
46
thing you
other
know,
hits.
they are on fire. Buy these paranormal songs today on iTunes.
Oh my God, you can buy it on iTunes?
Really?
Somebody wanted to give me a gift. I'll take an iTunes card so I can buy the Paranormal Song Warrior. Well, I mean, how can we not have this guy on the show?
I think, yeah.
We might be having him make our new Spooky Southcoast theme song.
Definitely.
The Paranormal Warrior. This guy, this is gold. I can imagine that, when he... Master Shake in the chat room calls him the Wesley Willis of the paranormal. I don't know. I don't know if we can anoint him with Wesley Willis type genius just yet. I mean, he's only put up one album so far that we know of. So the Paranormal Song Warrior, he is the man. So Chris is working on trying to track him down.
I like him.
And get him on the show.
I like his moxie. The cut of his jib.
I like his tinfoil hat too.
Yeah.
It's almost like a tinfoil yarmulke, You don't have to have all the crazy points to it and all the little twisty things. I don't know. When you wear a tinfoil hat, do you look for form fitting or do you look for something that's elaborate?
I guess it depends on the weather, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, you want to make sure that it's going to work. And it depends. Just the straight tinfoil might not be enough to block all the waves.
Yep.
That you may need to have some of those, almost like the tinfoil antennae, to be able to divert some of the signals away.
Right.
It's one thing to block them, but you really, just keeping them out isn't enough. You need to kind of bounce them off.
Right. If you have too many points or anything, somebody uses the microwave, you start peeing your pants. It's a mess, really.
And I want to recommend that if you do wear a tinfoil hat, never wear it when going to a place where you might be tasered. Because that just won't. Because you know what happens when you get tasered and you're wrapped in tinfoil, right? You just turn into a giant baked potato.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen it happen.
Yep.
Like your stomach explodes and it's just sour cream and chives everywhere. 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. You can call in and share your thoughts. What do you think of the Paranormal Truth Board? Do you want to download his CD?
I do, actually.
Yeah, are you doing that right now? Is that what you're doing over there?
I am Googling him.
I could picture you pulling up in your truck next week with that blasting. You've always been on the cutting edge of finding strange things. I still remember when you drove around with Wild Thing by Tone Loc playing for 2 weeks straight.
Yep.
I was talking about that the other day. So some of these other topics that we had posted up on our Facebook page, asking for people to discuss things. A lot of these topics could be and should be full episodes of Spooky South Coast going in the future. I mean, I definitely would love to cover voodoo as a full-time topic. We've never really touched upon that. What are your thoughts on voodoo?
Voodoo or hoodoo?
Either
You
way.
do.
Voodoo. Either way. On any of it. What do you think of the dark arts and these other religions? Do you feel like they've been stigmatized coming into a Christian-based country? Do you feel like we've kind of crapped all over them and made them into this evil thing that they're not?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of I don't know. I want to say propaganda or
right.
But yeah, we've kind of like
because
made them evil.
There's in the city of New Bedford here, there's people who practice Santeria.
Yep.
And there's people who practice similar type religions, and in some cases, there was a story a couple of years ago where they were sacrificing chickens as part of the religious practice, and people were complaining about it. And I'm like, well, how is that any different than the 45 churrascarias that are all over the city? They're turning chickens into
yeah,
profit.
I mean, who are we to say that what is crazy and what's not, especially when it comes to somebody's religion?
Right. Because it could all be crazy.
Could be.
It could all be wrong. And then won't we feel stupid for saying one person was more or less wrong than us? So I think voodoo would be a great topic to explore in full, coming up on a future show. And the Skinwalker Ranch is another one that we've never really covered. Now, Lake Monsters was something that somebody had suggested. Now, we recently did another episode with Nick Redfern that was podcast only. If you see a trend here, it's because Nick is very, very busy, and it's hard to get him on a Saturday night. So usually we pre-record with Nick when we have him on, and then we put it out there for podcast. So if you check out iTunes, you can see, and we also actually have his recent appearance on YouTube as well, if you want to check it out that way. But you can hear us talking about his latest book, The Monster Files, which deals with government files of strange and unusual creatures, including sea monsters and lake creatures. Now, you recently were up and in search of the Lake Champlain.
I was.
monster.
I didn't actually get to Lake Champlain because it was a little farther out of my way. But I do want to get out there.
And do you know that Charlie Sheen has said that he's going to go look for Nessie the Loch Ness Monster?
Is he?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And that'll be interesting to see what happens because
he's going to fight it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if the tiger blood will kick in.
Yeah, I think he wants Loch Ness Monster blood. Like tiger blood isn't doing it anymore.
Like winning is one thing. He wants to be dominating.
Yeah, right.
So I thought he was getting less crazy, but apparently I was wrong. So we wish him luck. Maybe we can have him on the show.
Yeah. He can have his own show.
Yeah, we'll give him a show on Spooky TV.
Yeah.
He had a Ustream show for a while. I think he still has a show on FX. I stopped watching it after the second episode, but and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a reality show out of this. Charlie Sheen hunting the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Have you seen the? Oh, you don't have TV. I was going to ask. Sorry, I was going to ask if you'd seen the new Joe Rogan show.
No, I heard very good things about it.
Yeah, I heard some people trashing him for it, but anything that can draw more attention to some of these topics is cool with me.
I mean, I don't know. Joe Rogan's hit or miss with me.
Then again, I watched American Haunting.
Yeah.
And that's a total crap fest.
Yeah. I watched that new William Shatner show.
Which one is that? I
I'm
remember
not
seeing
sure.
commercials for it, but
it's kind of it's almost, I don't want to say it's like In Search of, but it's kind of like in that regard.
So he's trying to show up Nimoy?
A little, probably.
Nice. So yeah, I'll have to check that out because
it's a little campy because there's
Of course.
little things here and there. With especially, I think there's one scene of William Shatner with a dead alien.
Oh, nice.
So there's that.
Now does he interview people? Because he's probably the best interviewer I've ever seen.
He is a very good interviewer, but he just kind of introduces the different topics in between.
Like if you've ever seen on Starz, on Epix, they have the Captains documentary that he made about all the different captains of Star Trek, and he expanded that into like a little mini series where it's whole half hour, 45-minute interviews with each actor who played the various captains on Star Trek, and he is by far one of the greatest interviewers I've ever seen. So I don't know what just happened. I thought we were going to take off for a second.
Shatner's ghost.
I
The
don't
ghost
know.
of his wife.
Oh, come on now. You had to go there? Oh, man. I was going to make a swimming pool joke, too. I'm glad you beat me to it. So that about does it for this week's show. We'll be back next week. We're still working on what the topic's going to be for next week. But we've got some great programs coming up planned for you in the future. You can always find out what's going on by going to SpookySouthcoast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at SpookySC. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/SpookySouthcoast. And, of course, if you want to join us in some of our paranormal excursions, legendtrips.com is the website. We're about halfway sold out for the USS Salem, so you want to make sure that you get your tickets for that before it's too late. Just go to legendtrips.com. And those who are on the email list, check your inboxes because you got the exclusive pre-sales for our upcoming events. September 28th at Slater Mill and October 12th at the Fielding Tavern in Wareham. So until next week, we want you all to stay spooktacular.